Hey, what's up, everybody? Would you like to be able to generate over $90,000 in sales in a single day? My name is Michael, top seller at ShineOn, the world's best print-on-demand company on the planet. And even though today's training video is in-depth, it's really just scratching the surface. So if you'd like to get started selling ShineOn today, go to shineon.com or click the link in the description below. Now, let's get to the training. All right, let's get into this. So step number one, how do you sell $192,000 in products in one day on ShineOn? So step number one, pretty self-explanatory. Sign up. There's a platform, which we're working super hard to make the best platform of any print-on-demand company ever. And then there's an app, Shopify app. You can do one or the other. If you're new, I highly recommend the platform. It reduces the number of variables you have to contend with. If you're running your own store, you have to worry about branding. You have to worry about putting trust seals and trust elements on your page. You have to worry about product copy, conversion rate. I mean, there's just so much you got to deal with. When you're on the platform, though, literally all you have to deal with are ads and design. Ads and design. That's it. Everything else is taken care of for you on the platform. I started on the platform. I did not graduate to my own Shopify store, so I did at least $25,000 in revenue. I recommend you do the same. So that's step number one. Pretty simple stuff. Another great thing about the platform, if anybody's kind of confused about how that works, you make an account, you upload a product, ShineOn gives you a URL, which belongs to you, and then you run traffic to that. If anybody purchases, you make money. Pretty good trade-off. All you have to do is pay for ad spend at that point. You don't pay for your products until someone makes a purchase. So it's a pretty incredible deal. All right, so that's number one. Step number two, choose a niche. So most people start with the product and then try to find a niche. This is not the right way to do it. You should start with a niche and then try to find a product for the niche. So pick a niche that you're going to go after. Daughters, dads to daughters, husband to wife, boyfriend to girlfriend, something like that. Pick the niche you want to target, then start creating products for the niche. Don't do it the other way around. Don't pick your product and then try to figure out how to sell the product. That's not how this works. You should really start with Facebook targeting and then work your way backwards, right? You should go into Facebook, look at the interest, figure out different kind of segments of the audience you want to target, then go find products that fit the audience, okay? I've taught on this repeatedly on my Facebook Live, so I'm not going to go super deep here, but you definitely want to pick your niche and then develop products for the niche. Somebody asked earlier about targeting, because one of the unique things about gifts in particular is you don't target the recipient, you target the buyer, right? So you have a buyer, you have a recipient. You don't target the recipient, you target the buyer. So this means if you're doing boyfriend to girlfriend jewelry, you don't target the girlfriend, you target the boyfriend, right? And then all you care about is whether or not the boyfriend buy, right? Will the buyer buy? The reason I bring this up is because we did have somebody in the Facebook group that said, hey, he was asking women, hey, would you wear this? And there was some necklaces and things like that, ShineOn necklaces. And in reality, if you think about it, it doesn't matter if women will wear the jewelry. All that matters is if the buyer will buy it. So if the buyer is convinced that women will buy it, that's enough. Whether women or not actually will doesn't matter. Now, I will throw out a quick footnote. All of ShineOn's jewelry is really high quality stuff that I think many women would be proud to wear. The looks reviews prove that. I'm just making the point that you shouldn't focus on that. You're really focused on the buyer. That's who you're creating the ad for. That's really who the product's for. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's for the buyer. That's the person that's going to take out their credit card and give you money, okay? Is targeting family too much? Should you only be choosing one leg of it, like mothers to daughter? Yes, you want to drill down. Family is way, way, way too big because family is everybody, right? Family is literally every person on the planet. So you've got to drill down much further than that. Here, let's talk about some good niches. So you got family, right? Jewelry is great for family. We all know that. Inside of family, though, what are some niches inside of family you can go after? I know you've got dad to son. You have dad to daughter. You have siblings, mom to daughter, husband to wife. These are great. You have grandparent to grandkids. There's another one here that I haven't seen anybody put yet. It's kind of a tricky one, but it's hot because nobody goes after them. Anybody guess what it is? It's in the family niche. Ooh, godparents to godkids. That's a good one. Well, I'm going to put GP to GK. You guys know what that means. In-laws. Yes, in-laws is a good one. That's not the one I was thinking of, though. It's close. It's related. I'm going to go ahead and give it to you, though, before anybody guesses it, so I can feel good about myself. Step parents to step kids, right? That's one that nobody's really going after. It's a pretty good one. And also, like, those gifts don't really exist at Walmart or Target or whatever. So when they see them online, it's kind of a unique experience for them to buy something that they know is not in a store. Yeah, Wissam said it is hard to target. Yeah, that's true. But create the right product, get that pixel optimized, and it'll take care of the rest, buddy. So I'll give you one more tip. Pick one of these niches. I recommend picking one or two of the niches and then focusing on one of two of those niches niches, okay? That's where the money's gonna be at. Also, you're gonna get your pixel optimized. You're gonna learn what they respond to. Hopefully you do your product research and you kind of learn how they talk. And things like that, and you'll just get better and better and better, and it'll help you hit a winner, right? So I recommend picking one or two of these and becoming kind of an expert in that particular niche. Move on. So after you got your niche, so first sign up for a ShineOn.com account. Choose which niche you're going to go after. Next, you want to do product research. So this is step number 3, product research. Okay, so you're doing product research for 2 reasons. One is to find a good product to sell to your niche. That's the obvious one. But the second one is to actually research your niche. This is giving you a chance to see what your niche is interested in, the kinds of things they buy, the kinds of things that they like. So you're looking for products. You're looking for, you may find products that aren't even in this space, right? That maybe you could never sell, but they still give you some clue as to what your niche may be interested in. And then you can specialize on that. The number of places you can go to do product research. Some of my favorites though, I like Etsy. Etsy is just a great one. You can go to Etsy, you can type in one of your search terms, mom to daughter, gift for daughter, necklace for daughter, greeting card for daughter, right? All of those are good. They're going to help you find phrases and find things that sell. So you put like a gift idea plus, and then your keyword or your niche. So it'd be like greeting card plus daughter. Then what you can do is you can scroll through the results and you can look for bestsellers, right? Here, we'll do it real quick. So photo charm for mom, gift for stepmom. Let's try gift for stepmom. That'll be gift for stepmom. And you'll notice too that Etsy actually recommended that as a search result. That means this is a common term. People are looking for this kind of gift, right? This tells you there's a market here. Let's look for, and then what I do when I get here, the first thing I'll do is I'll scan for bestsellers. I'll look for the bestseller tag. So all these say free shipping. Here's a bestseller right here. It's jewelry too, so it's right in our lane. Let's look at that. Stepmother of the groom, but I can't read the phrase. What's the phrase say? I think they need to work on their product pictures here a little bit. Thank you much for something, love and support. I'm truly blessed to have you in my life. I love you. Look, this is a pretty cool product. It's probably a little bit difficult to target on Facebook, and your scale would be limited, right? Because this is a little bit of a unique situation, right? It's stepmother of the groom. So for one, you have to find people who are just getting married, and then you also have to find grooms that have stepmoms. So it's a little bit of a weird one. However, it could work. It's worth experimenting with. Here's another one. It's kind of right down our alley. Hey, does anybody recognize this? This is our freaking product. Best bonus mom. Hey, it is a bestseller. That's weird because it didn't say that in the results. Sorry if this is one of your products and I'm calling it out on my training here. Best bonus mom. This is a good one. You may not have given me the gift of life, but life has given me the gift of you. Anybody recognize that phrase from other message cards before? It's a best-selling. I've seen this many, many times on other products. I want to say thank you for everything you've done for me and know how much I appreciate you. Through your love, patience, and kindness, and continue to learn to grow. I continue to learn and grow. Thank you for loving me as your own. I'm blessed to have you in my life. I have the best bonus mom in this world, right? Here's a great, again, someone was looking for a gift for a stepmom. Bam, you found it. Pretty simple stuff. Just come to Etsy, throw in your niche, and a gift keyword can be greeting card, can be necklace, something like that. There's all kinds of stuff here. Let's see if we can find one more. And notice it doesn't say best selling here in the results. It just said best selling on the product page. It's pretty interesting. Let's keep going here. So notice something I want to bring to your attention. Notice the mug here says, I smile because you're my stepmother. I laugh because you married my father. That's funny and sarcastic, right? That works really well on things like mugs and t-shirts. That doesn't work very well on jewelry. Jewelry is, you're going for an emotional play here. You want, if they cry, they buy, right? Remember that. You're wanting to move them emotionally. You want it to be sentimental, heartwarming, something like that. That's what causes the purchase. There's a bunch of them here. I was hoping I could find one more with the bestseller tag. This is a little bit of a smaller niche, so there probably aren't quite as many. But if you look, man, there's so many. There's so many necklaces here. Here's one. To my unbiological mom. Family isn't always blood. It's the people in your life who want you in theirs. The ones who accept you for who you are. The ones who would do anything to see you smile and who love you no matter what. You could get so many ideas here just off of Etsy alone. So Etsy is super simple. Let's go to a different one. All right. So that's Etsy. Another one of my favorites is Pinterest. I like Pinterest for phrases. You can go to Pinterest. You can use a tool. It's a paid tool called Sorting Social. You can actually put in a search term inside of Pinterest and it will sort the results by like engagement or saves. So it's a paid tool. It's cheap. I can't remember how much it is a month. I've been using it for about a year. But what you can do is you can go and you can type like dad to daughter quotes, for example, and Pinterest is full of like little quotes and things like that. But it's really easy. You can just go to Pinterest in the search term. You can type in a result like a search term like dad to daughter quotes, for example. You want to put quotes kind of on the end of it, and it's just going to get you back a bunch of images with dad to daughter quotes. And what you can do is, if you have a tool like Sorting Social, you can sort them by popularity, and you can see which ones have done better than others. And then you can try to start your experimentation with phrases around that. Keep in mind, again, I want to go back to your research here is for two purposes. One is just to find products that will sell, phrases that will sell, things like that. But two, you're trying to become a master of your niche. You want to be an expert on your niche. You want to get an idea for what appeals to them, what kind of colors, what kind of design elements, what kind of phrases, like are they more heartwarming? Are they more sentimental? Are they sad or whatever it is? You know what I mean? Like for some niches, some of the phrases that are more cheesy do better than others. Like that's the kind of stuff you're trying to kind of figure that out. And it's best if you focus on one or two niches. It'll really help you do that. It'll speed up your learning curve. Another thing you can do that's kind of overlooked, you can do Google Images. This is one nobody uses, nobody really talks about. You can literally go to images.google.com, type in your search keywords, and a bunch of stuff will pop up. And it's from all over the internet. That's one of the cool things about Google Images is it'll pull stuff from Etsy, from Amazon. It'll pull things from all over the place. You have to be a little bit more creative with your search terms because you're kind of using Google Images in a way that it wasn't really designed for, but it can return like pure gold. The other thing is that you can find some of your competitors this way too. Many times I'm there, I'm searching around for something in my niche, and bam, I'm getting Shopify pages from some of my competitors in the space. So that's pretty cool. Another thing you can do, I highly recommend, create a Rolodex. Rolodex of Facebook pages. All right, so Rolodex of Facebook pages. So go to Facebook, go to the search, make sure you select pages, which is now on the left-hand side of the screen in the new Facebook, and search around for things in your niche. Keep in mind that when you're making a niched Facebook page, we talked about this last week, you want to name the page something like, my daughter is my world, I love my daughter, my kids are everything, or something like that, right? So when you're searching for pages that are related to your niche, keep that in mind. Think of how you would name your own page. Put those search terms, search for those inside of Facebook. Then what you want to do is go to those Facebook pages and look to see if they're running any ads. There's a real easy way to do that. You can go to the Facebook page, and then in the old Facebook, I believe it was in the bottom right. On the new Facebook, I think it's on the left-hand side. There's a transparency section, and it's got like ads. There's a button. You have to kind of search for it. You click that, you'll go to the ad library for the Facebook page, and you can see if they're actively running ads. This is another great way to get ideas, figure out what's working in your niche. Quick tip, if you're looking at a competitor's page and they only have one ad for that particular design, there's a good chance that they're either testing or that design's not done very well. However, if they have a bunch of ads all for the same design, that's kind of a giveaway that it's working for them and they're scaling. All right, another thing you can do, look on other platforms. So you can go to Teespring, for example. You can go to Viral Style. You can look on some of these other places that have platforms similar to ShineOn, and you can see what's selling well there, and you can get inspiration and ideas from there as well. It's super easy, super easy hack to just kind of spy on what your competitors are doing. Another thing you can do, interact with Facebook ads. Interact with Facebook ads in your niche. And what will happen is Facebook will start to think you're one of the primary buyers. And by the way, when I say interact with it, I don't mean just click it or whatever. I mean, click it, go to the landing page, scroll around on the landing page for a little bit, click add to cart, go to the checkout page. There are some ways you can actually fire the purchase event from the checkout page without buying anything. And Facebook will start to categorize you as a buyer of that particular product. I can't get into all that here. You're gonna have to Google how to do that. But then Facebook will start to categorize you as a buyer in that niche, and they'll start showing you ads for it, like the good top quality ads. That's another way you can do product research. And that's not it. I mean, guys, there are just so many methods. You just have to be creative here. There's even YouTube, things you can do on YouTube. I mean, they're just Wonello, Wish.com, Amazon.com. You can go to eBay. There are just so many methods. Google Shopping. There's no shortage of ideas here. You just have to get creative and go after it. What I'm getting from this is I need to up my productivity 1,000%. Yes, you do. There's good reason for it though too. It's because the opportunity is also increasing by 1,000% because we're in Q4, right? Scale your productivity with the opportunity. Okay, we got cool Facebook ad stuff coming. We got to get through this. This is important. These are the foundations that make you successful later, right? I could not have done $92,000 in a single day without all of the stuff I'm sharing here. This is the grind, right? This is the work. The $92,000 is the result of all the work. It's the high point, right? But this is the daily grind that allows you to hit those kinds of peaks. All right, let's keep going. Next, we'll talk about design. All right, so design and phrase. Okay, so once you do your research, right? And you have some phrase ideas, okay? This is like ammo you're about to load into a gun of profit. Couple things you want to do here. So first of all, there's a work harder, work smarter kind of path you have in front of you, right? And here's kind of how it goes. You can get one new design made per phrase. That's the work harder path. Okay, the work smarter path is use design templates. Okay, here's your path. Okay, work harder. This is one phrase, one design. Work smarter is design templates. Okay, so you have work harder is one phrase, one design. Work smarter is templates, design templates. So here's what I mean by this is talked about this last week a little bit. You take a design, okay, whatever your design is, doesn't matter. I'm putting a little flower here just so you know it's a design. This is a message card. And what you do is you test it with a bunch of phrases. Phrase 1, phrase 2, phrase 3, okay? You just want to make sure that your design here is vanilla enough to work with all of your phrases. Generic enough, vanilla enough to work with all your phrases, right? It's not that hard to pay a designer 15 or 20 bucks to come up with your template, or 3 to 5 templates. And then for you to buy Photoshop, or heck, you can even use Canva, and you can put your own fonts and text and things like that on the design templates, right? That's how you can do this really fast. Another thing, talked about this last week. You want to use the greeting card format. So your greeting card format is to, from. You want to use this for all your phrases, right? So, for example, if you have a product, you want to say to my wife, then you have your phrase, and it's from your husband. Love your husband. Forever and always your husband. Something like that, right? But you want to use the greeting card format for your phrases. That is how you win with your phrases. This is super simple stuff, guys. These are the little things that make the $92,000 a day successful or possible, right? You've got to have a really solid foundation. It's a required in order to hit these levels. And also, this is the grind. This is where the work is put in. This is what you're doing behind the scenes before you ever run an ad to set yourself up for success. You want to make sure you pick a good niche, right? The way you know if it's a good niche is if somebody else has had success in it in the past. That's how you know if it's a good niche. If people are having success in it, that means it's a good niche. Now, some people are going to go, well, wait a minute. Doesn't that mean that niche is saturated? Well, you can think that, but when I see that, I think, okay, that means there's opportunity here. That means there's buyers here, right? That means this is a validated niche already. Like, I already know it's working because many other people are doing good. All I have to do is outperform them, right? That becomes the challenge at that point. Just outperform those people. And by the way, that's usually not that hard because everybody puts in a very minimal amount of effort into all this stuff. So that's not really that difficult, but that's how you know if you've picked a good niche or not. Other people will be having success in it. Once you have your niche, do a lot of product research, do lots of phrase research, really try to figure out what makes your niche tick, right? That's very important. After you do that and build a list of phrases, right, that you want to use, then go get design templates made. 3 to 5 design templates that work well in your niche. Pay a designer 15 bucks a pop. Make sure that you have some Photoshop Kung Fu or Canva Kung Fu, right? And you can put your own text on those designs, on those 3 to 5 design templates, and you can rapidly start to test now with that. Make sure all your phrases follow that greeting card format. To so-and-so, then your phrase from so-and-so. Make sure that they have emotional impact. This is a huge one, guys. You don't want funny, right? The phrase must have emotional impact. That's super important. You probably don't want it to be funny unless it fits with jewelry. You probably don't want it to be sarcastic. You want to move people emotionally. It needs to be heartwarming or sentimental. Keep in mind, just bear with me a second. Your ideal buyer is going to be seeing a lot of necklaces in their feet, right? Because you're not the only one out there trying to sell necklaces to them. So what is going to make them stop the scroll is going to change, right? And you kind of always want to stay ahead of the game. So if you go and like a bunch of your competitors' Facebook pages, or you spy on their ads, look at what they're doing and do the opposite. You want to zig when everyone else zags in this business. If everybody's running white backgrounds, run darker backgrounds. If everybody's running darker backgrounds, run white backgrounds, right? If people aren't using colors, try to use some color, right? The one rule I would say when you're messing with design is be a little bit careful with your design elements. Because if you want enough design to be there to raise the perceived value of the product, but you don't want so much design to be there that it's pushing some of your potential buyers away, if that makes sense. I'll tell you right now, if you look at the majority of message cards you see in your newsfeed right now, most of them have plain light colored backgrounds. So there's a hint for you. Okay, greeting cards are huge. Hallmark.com, for example, I've gone there for product research before. There's literally no limit to where you can get ideas from. You just have to be a little bit creative. You also, guys, this goes without saying, but don't copy somebody else's design, okay? It's okay to use a design for inspiration, but you don't want to copy word for word from anybody. It's just a low blow. It's like this kind of unspoken rule in this space. All right, so we are on number 4, test like a crazy person. All right, so I put test like a crazy person here. Now, there's at least one caveat I want to throw out there. First of all, I kind of think you should just test like a crazy person all year long anyway. That's going to increase your odds of finding a winner. I'm going to test 10 products a week going forward without fail. I have, even when my ad account got shut down, I still went ahead and made the designs, and they're ready to rock and roll for Monday, right? So going forward, I'm going to do 520 designs a year. The reason I'm doing that is because it's going to be pretty hard to outwork me. And the opportunity is so great, I want as much of it as I can get. So let that be a personal challenge to all of you, right? Go after this. Go after this hard. Now, I have some advantages. I have a team. But even when I didn't have a team, I was still testing like an insane person. I'd try to get up in the mornings before work, and I'd be cranking out designs. So one important caveat here I want to throw out about testing like a crazy person is, see, how should I illustrate this? This is going to be a little crude, but bear with me. We have a timeline here, and let's say this here is December 31, and let's pretend that this is September 1, right? So that means this is October, November, December, something like that. Guys, this is just, take this for illustration's sake, right? This chart's not going to be 100% accurate, but buyer activity, at least for our types of products, is going to be something like this, right? This is buyer activity that I'm trying to draw for you here. You almost always see a little spike somewhere around the middle of October. I don't know why. I just think, Christmas is more in the minds. It could be that this is when most of your department stores and like Costco and everybody starts bringing out Christmas trees and commercials start coming on and Christmas is top of mind. It could be something to do with that. I don't really know. Somewhere around October 15th, though, you start to see things uptick. And then again, somewhere around Black Friday, you have another uptick in sales, and this just continues to go up, right? I don't actually know when it falls. All I know is that our shipping cutoff, I didn't draw this very right, but our shipping cutoff is like December, somewhere over here, right? So it probably keeps going up more like this, right? And the shipping cutoff is like somewhere in here for ShineOn. It keeps going up after Black Friday. So when I say test like a crazy person, and I've said before, like, hey, if you get something that's like break even or marginally profitable, just put it on the shelf and bring it back out later because it could do some things for you. Well, this is what I'm talking about. You want to bring it out somewhere, in this area here and start testing those again, because you might catch a wave and it may just completely take off for you. I will say that in my experience, if you catch a winner anytime, like in here, there's almost no ceiling to how high your product can go. When I did $92,000 in a single day, I was shocked. I just couldn't believe there were that many buyers out there. And there were still plenty more. That product sold all the way through Valentine's Day and then some. It's still selling. So the number of buyers out in the marketplace, it's unfathomable. I mean, there really is no ceiling on it. The only reason I didn't break $100,000 that day is my own shortcomings. I just screwed up my ads in the morning. So when you test like a crazy person, these are the months where there's just so much money in the marketplace, and the sales come super easy. This is why I keep saying, guys, don't give up. Don't give up, right? This is all, look, keep testing right now. Keep testing, keep trying to find a winner. You can find winners all year long. People do it all year long. I can promise you, I see ShineOn sales on the platform. There are multiple people with multiple winners literally all year long. That never ends, okay? So the opportunity is out there. It's why you need to be testing all year long. But I'm telling you, the closer we get to the end of Q4, the opportunity is just, it's like it just 10x's. It's just so much bigger than you can imagine. It's foolish not to be going after it, not trying to get some piece of that pie. Now we're getting into the good stuff. Testing methods. This is what everybody came for. Here we go. Okay, I shared a video earlier this week with 3 of my favorite testing methods. I'm going to go over those again real quick, and then I'll share a few others. So you can use these at various budgets. One that I tend to go to quite a bit, it's a CBO method, and it's $30 at the campaign level. And then you have 3 ad sets, right? Each ad set can either have a duplicate interest, right? Or they can all be different interests. Kind of depends on what you're doing. I know my interests pretty well. I tend to duplicate them. Each ad set has 1 ad, okay? What you can do if you decide to duplicate your interests, just create and publish this first. Then what you want to do is come back and duplicate this from the ad set level, duplicate it twice, get these 2. Pretty simple stuff. That's the CBO method. I just used that this week. I got sales on it. So this worked. I used it last week too. So this works. Still works today. Now we're going to do the next one. It's this very similar one. It's ABO. And I do 3 ad sets again. They can either be duplicate interests or different interests. I do $10 each on these, and each of them have 1 ad. Again, this works. I literally ran a campaign just like this last week, and I got sales on it. What time do you launch these? So for my ad set budget optimization ones, I almost always launch these at 5 a.m. but for whatever reason, CBO seems to like it better when you launch at the very beginning of the day. So 12 a.m. I've just noticed that CBO and ABO campaigns spin differently out of the gate. ABO spins far more aggressively, and you can a lot of times pick up some sales very early on with ad set budget optimization campaigns, where CBO campaigns seem to spend far more modestly and like evenly all day long. I'm not sure what's going on there in the algorithm. That's just what I've noticed. Why would I create 3 ad sets versus just 1 ad set on the interest? So that's because, so imagine, crude analogy again here, but imagine that your audience is a body of water, right? This is your body of water, okay? And let's pretend this is parents all, for example, and there are, I'm totally making this part up, 30 million people in it, okay? Well, kind of have this theory, I don't know if it's true or not, but I have this theory that each ad set you create is like a bucket, and each ad set gets a scoop of water, right? So it gets a scoop of your audience. Now, if that scoop is unlucky and you don't have any buyers in it, then 1 ad set is going to be rough. Now, I think the bucket is sized based on your budget. By the way, I could get real deep into why I think all this. I just don't think I'm going to have time to do it all here. So look, this is a theory. I'm not saying this is how it works. This is how I think it works. And I've created scaling models on top of this that seem to indicate that I'm onto something here. So I believe I have some evidence to support this. But anyways, I'll probably never know for sure. Size based on budget. So what I mean by that is a $10 ad set is going to be like a small bucket. Okay, that's a bucket. And a $100 ad set is going to be a bigger bucket, right? $1,000 ad set is going to be even bigger. So what I like to do is I like to think, well, I want to make sure that I'm giving my campaign the best possible chance of success of finding buyers. So if I get a scoop from my body of water here and there are no fish in it, that's going to be an issue. The entire campaign is going to be a dud almost before it even gets off the ground. So I like to have multiple ad sets to increase my chances of one of them having some buyers located in it. Look, like I said, I have a lot of reasons for why I believe that this is how ad sets work and your audiences work. Probably not going to be able to get into all that here, but I've built some scaling models on top of this that seem to validate what I'm thinking here. So that was method number 2. Okay, method number 3, 1 campaign. This is another ABO campaign, and I like to do really tiny budgets on this one. So I do $1 per ad set, but I'll make 25 of them, for example. Okay, now it doesn't have to be $1. I know some people that do this, a very similar thing with $3. Some people with $7. There's all kinds of stuff you can do here. Again, the biggest thing is like, look, whether I'm correct about my bucket theory or not when it comes to the way ad sets work, it's very clear that some ad sets perform differently than others. So part of what you're doing here is you're casting your net wide when you have multiple ad sets. You're hoping that you're going to find an ad set that does better than others. The other thing is that especially when you're spending larger budgets, so like if you have a campaign and you've got 10 ad sets in it and each ad set is $1,000 budget, you're going to notice that sometimes you have campaigns like campaigns 1 and 2, for example, will just get purchases all day long, $10 a piece, for example, and then some of them will never get any purchase at all. Like there's clearly some qualitative difference going on between those ad sets and I don't quite have an explanation for it, but I just know I personally like to run with lots of ad sets. Here's another one that I like to do. So I like to do $100 CBO campaigns. And guys, I'm always testing stuff, always. That's probably why you hear me talk about different testing methods all the time. I'm constantly playing with things. Part of that is because I want to understand how this works, like intimately. Part of it is I'm also looking for breakthroughs, little tips and tricks and hacks and things like that. So I'll do a $100 CBO ad set and I'll do between 5 and 10, $100 campaign. And I'll do between 5 and 10 ad sets. And what I'll do here is I'll take this is going to require some math here, but I'll add minimum spending limits to the ad sets. So what I'll do is I'll take my total budget times 0.25. I want 25%. So in this case, that give me $25. Then I take my $25 and I divide it by number of ad sets. So in this example here, let's pretend I had 10 ad sets. I take 25 divided by 10. That'd give me $250. I would make $250 the minimum spend for each of the ad sets. And then I would let this one run for a few days. Now, the reason I do it like this, I want a minimum spend on the ad set because each day CBO, it's just weird when the spending kind of resets at the end of the day. I want to make sure each ad set gets equal play again in case the results of the ad sets change a little bit, right? It doesn't have to be 25%. It could be 50%. I mean, play around with this, see what works. But this has worked for me in the past. I've found winners with this method here in the past. Again, though, it's not the testing method that makes the winner. That's something that should be clear to everybody. It's the product and the phrase that makes the winner. How are you scaling the $1 ad set? So I just start increasing budget. I increase budget to a point. it depends kind of on how I'm feeling about the product and the virality of it, and also kind of how Facebook's treating me. Usually I'll start by slowly increasing budgets, and then after I kind of get to a place where I'm comfortable with the budget, I'll start increasing the number of ad sets. So for example, I might go from $1 to $5, see how it does. I might go from 5 to 10, see how it does. And I might go from $10 ad sets to like 20 or 30 $10 ad sets, see how that goes. And this whole time the campaign's getting data, the pixel is being more and more optimized. And eventually I might turn those, lost track, what I say, 30 $10 ad sets. I'll turn the 30 $10 ad sets into 30 $20 ad sets. And then maybe I'll do 30 $30 ad sets. And then I'll go to 50 $30 ad sets. So I kind of go back and forth between increasing budget and increasing ad sets to increase my overall spending. Keep in mind there that when I scale with ad sets in particular, I know that not every ad set is going to be profitable, and I will turn off the unprofitable ad sets as I scale in this manner. Which, by the way, I'm going to get to scaling here in just a second. In fact, I'm going to get to ramping up too. Why don't we just do that now? Let's go to ramping up. So this is 6, ramping up. So the way I look at it, you have this space between testing and scaling, and this space in between here is what I call ramping up. So what I mean is sometimes when you try to scale with a campaign, it's like it implodes on itself and it just won't scale. Like as long as you have low budgets and stuff, you're profitable. But anytime you start to increase the budgets, it just kind of falls apart on you. This is where you learn that. You learn that right here, right? If the thing isn't going to scale, if it's going to fall on itself, it happens right here when you're trying to ramp up. Now there's nothing super special about my ramp up technique. My real thing is I'm just kind of stair stepping my way up to higher budgets, right? So, and as I do this, my budgets go up, and like I'll also scale with ad sets, right? And sometimes I'll scale by adding more campaigns. And I'll get into that here because I'm sure that's a little bit confusing. All right, so testing and ramping up. So there are 2 ways I do it. I do it by increasing budgets and by increasing ad sets. And honestly, guys, it's a little bit, I really do it kind of in a stair step fashion. I'll raise budgets and then I'll expand ad sets. This is kind of how I do it. And I'll just keep doing that. And slowly it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, a couple things to know about the way I tend to scale. I tend to turn off all my campaigns at midnight, or well, when they're not profitable anymore at night. Usually it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Then I schedule them to launch again the next day at 5 a.m. Also, the entire day when I'm scaling and attempting to ramp up, I monitor my ad sets very, very closely, and I turn off the ones that aren't profitable. That's something I do. It's a little different than a lot of people. If I have a product that just seems to be struggling to get past this ramping up phase, like every time I try to scale it, it just falls in on itself. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll give Facebook what they want. So I'll make one CBO campaign with 3 ad sets. I'll usually make these different interests. Each ad set will have 3 ads on it, and each of the ads will be like a different, usually it's like different ad copy or an image. It's not different design or product, right? So it's like ad copy, image. I only do this when Facebook is just not playing nice. And then what I'll do is I'll increase the budgets on this by about 20% per day. And I'll do that till I hit a ceiling, and then I'll just stop. And sometimes these will continue to bring in profit, even though the profit margin's not much. I mean, it's like 10 to 15%. Some days aren't profitable. Some days are more profitable than others. I only do that when Facebook is just not letting me do this other stuff, right? And I should probably stop blaming Facebook. If I can't do this stuff here, it's usually an issue with the product, right? It's not really Facebook, condemning me or whatever. So yeah, so those are the 2 ways that I tend to scale my products. Now, when I'm doing it my way, and I guess we're kind of getting into scaling here. So I'm going to go to a new board where I talk about scaling. Let's do this. So I tend to have kind of some unique scaling methods, and I credit these methods to being able to allowing me to hit $92,000 in a day. Now, I want to preface all that with saying, I don't know that I'm like some kind of Facebook genius or something like that that came up with this. I think some mixture of this was luck. Some of this was a little bit intuitive as I was testing products and attempting to scale, and I'd scaled some products before in the past. It's like if you're close to your ads for a long time, you just start to get a feeling for how there's like a rhythm and a tempo to buyer behavior, to the way your ads spend and things like that. And you start to get a feeling, like an intuition for some of that stuff. That's how I developed a lot of my methods. I have various reasons for why I think they work. At the end of the day, it's almost all theory. That's one important thing I want to say. And the other thing is Facebook's constantly changing things, right? So just because this has worked for me in the past doesn't mean it's going to be working for me in the future. So it's very important to stay flexible, stay agile, and constantly experiment. So the way I like to scale, I like one campaign with lots of ad sets. I mean, like lots of it. Now, granted, this is when I'm scaling, okay? I almost always do ABO here for my campaign. And this will be like, it's nothing for me to have one campaign with 50 ad sets, right? And I may start with 50 $10 ad sets. And again, don't forget my stair step, right? Because I go back and forth between increasing budgets on the ad sets and then increasing the number of ad sets. But I might start with, $10 ad sets, and then I'll jump it to $20 ad sets, right? And keep in mind, if you've got 50 $10 ad sets, you're at $500. The next day, if I bump them all to 20, I'm suddenly at $1,000, right? Which means I just increased my spend by 100%. Facebook hates this. They don't want you to do that. Your ads will never leave learning when you're doing this, which drives some people crazy. Doesn't drive me crazy because it works. I don't know why it works. It just does. I have theories. Again, these are theories. So I go from $10 to $20, and then from 20, I might get saucy. I might jump it to 500. Okay. And then what I do, you're going to find that when you're in Ads Manager, loading one campaign with 50 ad sets starts to take a while, right? It's a little bit frustrating. So what I will do just to look, it doesn't take any less time, but I just find that Facebook, I don't know, it's like they digest this a little easier. What I'll do is I'll just I'll duplicate the campaign, right? So like, let's say, for example, I'm doing $50 ad sets. What is that? $25,000 in spend. So right, 50 times 50. No, $2,500 in spend. Not even there yet. So what I'll do is the next day, right? I'll just duplicate this right here, right? And then the very next day, I'm spending $5,000. The very next day, I'll jump from $2,500 to $5,000 in one day. And then if I'm still profitable, guess what I'm doing the next day? You don't play around here. No guts, no glory. Especially guys, if you're in the peak buying time, right? It's okay to scale until you hit a ceiling. So I'll double this again, right? Maybe what I'll do is I'll either add another ad set, or I can increase all my ad sets to $100. What are the 50 ad sets made up of? Well, the 50 ad sets are all duplicates, one of another. So what I'll do is I'll create one ad set with a $50 budget, and then I'll just duplicate that thing 49 times. Okay. Facebook doesn't like it when you do this. It's going to bog down. It's going to crunch on you. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but if it's making you money, what other choice do you have? I'm just surprised this is all free information right now. Well, put it to good use. So 50 of the same interest, big effing audience. You need big audiences to scale to. Look, I'm talking about how I did 92,000 a single day. You don't do that with an audience size of 1 million. Okay. The good news is you're in the family niche. All the audiences are huge. Okay. They're all capable of huge, huge numbers. So 50 of the same interest. Yeah, keep it. Also, your pixel is going to get more optimized too. So you can slowly broaden your interests as you scale. So just for example, this is kind of, how would I put this? So if this is Facebook, right? And you want Facebook to hit your buyer, this is going to be another crude drawing here. Let's pretend this is your buyer right here. Well, you almost have to put blinders on Facebook, especially if your pixel is not optimized, right? So you have to choose a very little narrow interest. You have to point Facebook. It's like bowling, and you've got the inflatable, what do they call those? The gutter things, right? They keep your ball bouncing around inside the lane so you don't do a gutter shot. It's kind of what you're doing with Facebook when you do your interests, okay? But as your pixel gets more and more optimized, what you can do is you can start to broaden this out a little bit. That's a bigger interest. You can get broader. And then eventually you can even run with no interest at all. And Facebook will get so good at learning who your buyer is, they'll be able to find your buyer everywhere. Heat sinking missile type thing, right? They're just finding your buyer all over the place. I sometimes say that, like, for the gamers out there, if you play RPGs, your Facebook pixel is like a character in an RPG, and you're leveling it up. The more data you give it, right? It's like experience points, and it just slowly levels up, and it gets better and better at targeting, right? It gets better gear, better equipment, and other gamer stuff. And eventually it's out there just slaying. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of what you're doing. You're feeding it data, getting it good and optimized, and then you can broaden your targeting a lot. So yeah, when you're scaling to these levels, you need big audiences, big, but they're there. So it's okay. All right. How many ad sets per interest? How many ads per ad set? Usually one. Well, shoot. I think when I did 92,000, I had 3 per ad set, but like Facebook really started puking all over me when I tried to, like, look, I'll put it this way. When I tried to upload 25 campaigns with 100 ad sets in it each, Facebook just was not having it. So I had to go back. Oh, and like each ad set had 3 ads on it. Facebook was just not doing it. So I had to reduce the number of ads per ad set. It was just too much for Facebook to handle. The ads from all the ad sets don't fight each other. Well, here's one thing to keep in mind, guys, that I suppose I haven't gotten to here. Let's pretend these are all my ad sets, okay? You're looking at ad sets, guys. I watch these like a hawk all day long to see which ones are doing good for me and which ones are doing crap. And then what I do is I come through and I turn these crap ones off. All day long I do this, like a day trader on the stock market. I turn all those off. At the end of the day, I'll be left with some remnant of winning ad sets. And these ad sets will more than make up for my losses. They'll more than make up for the losses of all of these, okay? But the trick is you got to cut the bad ones early. Cut bad ad sets. Very important. Now, someone asked me about competition between the ad sets. Maybe there's competition. I'd imagine when you're spending lots and lots of money, like, I spent 30K a day, or on the day I did 92,000 in revenue. I'd imagine maybe there is some competition. But here's the thing. I don't care. If it's profitable, it's profitable. Like, here's the thing. Like, there's a difference between the way Facebook says the algorithm works in reality. And again, I'm actually not disparaging Facebook when I say that by any stretch. I just don't think anybody knows how the algorithm works. I mean, honestly, you got to think of the algorithm as like this big Frankenstein monster that has had a few hundred developers over the course of 10 years working on it. I doubt, I don't know that there's any 4 or 5 people in the entire world you could stick in a room and they could tell you exactly how the algorithm works. I just think people understand their verticals, their little chunks of it. And I think it's just grown in complexity. People don't really understand this. So everything I do here with this method breaks all the rules. I'm doubling budgets. I'm not raising the budgets slowly like Facebook wants you to. I've got duplicate ad sets going on. I'm turning them on and off every single day as I see fit. I'm literally doing everything they tell you not to do. And yet it was profitable. I scaled $92,000 a day. I don't know what to tell you, but that's what I found worked. Like I said, I have theories about why it works, but I do what I want. What can I say? All right, what else? My best advice would be you want to give your pixel training wheels, right? You want to make sure that you're trying to guide it towards your ideal buyer as much as you can before you start using huge audiences. So personally today, I don't like running an ad set if the audience size isn't 5 million plus. Okay. But you probably want to stick to the 1 million range, maybe even smaller if you know exactly where your ideal audience is. If your pixel's a little more optimized, you can let it kind of wander around, gain experience points. You know what I'm saying? All right. Do you let them all run during the day or do you have some rules? So I do have rules, but when you're spending this much money, right, the rules don't execute fast enough for you to not lose the portion. Like, to put in perspective for you, there was a time there when I was scaling, I don't know if it was this day or not, but where it was like 7 a.m. in the morning, just getting going on my cup of coffee. I'm looking at my ads manager, right? I've got 250 ad sets and they're all starting to spin, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm refreshing really quick because I'm trying to see which ones aren't doing well for me, and I'm cutting all the crap ones based on the rules I use. There was one time within a 5-minute span, I hit that refresh button and I had spent like $800 in 5 minutes. And like, I grabbed my pants. Like, that was one of those moments where, if I had had a hat on, I would have put it on backwards and but got my adrenaline pumping a little bit. So I watch my ads I'm glued to them and I'm turning off the bad ones as quickly as I can. Let's keep going here, guys. Another thing here about scaling in particular, I tend to start testing images and copy when I ramp up. I typically start this at the ramping phase. And what I'll do is I'll typically test like 5 images and 5 ad copies. So when I did $92,000 in a single day, I actually ordered the product from ShineOn and I took a bunch of pictures and my wife took a bunch of pictures of the product. And then I tested all those different images. The image, if you have to choose one thing to test, it's the image, right? The image tends to make the most difference. And also I found that you can almost never outperform user-generated content. User-generated content, also the acronym UGC style images tend to perform the best. So if you can make it look like something maybe your friend would post on Facebook, those images tend to work well. The one that worked well for me, I literally was just holding it. I took a picture with my iPhone and that performed the best for me. So I start testing there. That will help you ramp up and scale. It helps you get the most out of your campaign. So I'd test at least 5 images and 5 variations on the ad copy. Do those one at a time. Test images first. That's where you get the most bang for your buck. Then with the winning image, test 5 variations on the ad copy. Do this as you're scaling. So what I normally do is I continue to scale and then I have a separate campaign where I'm doing my testing for the images and things like that. So I don't lose any time. Keep in mind that there, when you're in fourth quarter and you're coming up to your shipping deadline, like, time is very precious and valuable. You don't want to waste it. right? Also, what I'll do is once I'm clearly in the scaling phase and I know I've got something that's winning, I'm spending about $1,000 a day, I will start retargeting. Now, I keep my targeting dirt simple. Now, part of the reason I do that is because I'm spending the majority of my time on scaling, right? I'll spend the majority of my time on actively scaling because it's where I'm making most of my money, but I'll launch my retargeting campaigns as well. And so for retargeting, what I normally aim for is I'll spend between 10% and 20% of total budget on retargeting. And you kind of got to watch that and make sure that your CPAs are good. And my retargeting is so simple, guys. I do view content less than 7 days with no purchase. That's it. That's all I do for my retargeting audience. Super easy. So for those that don't know, I'll briefly walk you through it verbally. You're going to have to go do Google some YouTube videos to see exactly how to do this. But you can go and create a custom audience based on website visitors, and you can choose those that view content within the last 7 days. And what you do is go make another audience of people that have purchased, right? It's the exact same method. And then what you do is in all your ads, you say, hey, I want to target everybody that's viewed content in less than 7 days, but I want to exclude people that have purchased, and bam, anybody that's visited your product page in the last 7 days will see your ad. Another thing I try to do is I keep my frequency. Some people don't like this. It's just what I do. I keep my frequency on my retargeting between 3 and 7. And I personally try to get it as close to 7 as I can. I don't really care if they're annoyed. I just want them to buy. After 7 days, they'll stop seeing the ad. That's how I do my retargeting. Again, I only really start retargeting when I start ramping up. Samara, all right, we still have more to get through. Told you, this is going to be a mini course, the compliments. Okay, let's keep going. So I want to talk a little bit about managing cash flow here, because you don't think about this, but I promise you'll think about it when you start to scale, because you'll be forced to think about it when you start to scale. So I'm going to see if I can draw some of this. So you have your bank account, right? Then you have your credit card, but you can also have somewhere in here PayPal. So here's where things get really weird. Like you can scale, you can do what I did with very little money in the bank, okay? I didn't have a huge bankroll. Well, in this account, I didn't have a huge bankroll to fund all of this. Kind of what happens here is you give money to Facebook, right? I'm trying to think of the best way to draw all of this. It's almost like a circle. So you spend money on Facebook and you get sales from ShineOn, and then ShineOn pays you the money back. This is your bank, okay? This is basically how this works. So what's going to happen though is you're going to have $1,000 go out, right? And let's say you make $3,000, okay? Here. But it's going to take time. This doesn't matter if you're selling on your own Shopify store or something else. This $3,000 you make does not come all the way back around instantly, okay? It takes time before it shows up here again, okay? So there's this period here where you've got to be able to keep funding your scaling, okay? Now, this gets particularly difficult if you're raising your budgets every day. Because if it's 1,000 one day, and then 2, and then 4, and then 5, I mean, like unless you have, $30K sitting in the bank, it's going to be very hard to do this, okay? This is a problem you're going to be forced to figure out. I've been forced to figure it out multiple times. So typically what I do is I get a credit card, okay? Now, the benefits of having a credit card are more than one. First of all, you can get points. If you get a good credit card, you can get a credit card with points. Some of the credit cards will actually give you 3x points for your spend on Facebook. Make sure you try to get one of those. Another reason that's good is because this can be converted to money, okay? To money. So it's more money in your pocket the more you're spending on Facebook. It can help minimize losses, especially if you're testing, but it's going to increase profits as well. All right. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll get a credit card. I'll kind of insert it right here, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm actually funding this whole endeavor with my credit card, okay? The credit card will give me something like a 30-day float. That buys me time. As long as I don't hit the balance on my credit card, it buys me time, or the credit limit. It buys me time and allows me to keep feeding the machine here, right? And eventually, as long as it can go, something like 2 to 5 days, this money will start to find its way back to my bank account. And then I can start to pay off this credit card. Now, look, all of this probably seems manageable if you're still in this stage here, but I promise you the next few steps of my scaling method will screw up your cash flow. And here it is. Ready? Here are the next 2 simple steps. 10K, 20K. So let's just do some quick math here. I'm going to need a calculator, figure out how much we just spent. So let's pretend each of these represent one day. Spend 1,000 one day, 2,000 the next day. You spend 4,000 the next day. Spend 5,000 the next day. So in the first 4 days, you spend $12,000, right? The next day you spend 10, the next day you spend 20. So in 6 days, you've now spent $42,000. So $42,000 has left that credit card and is somewhere in your machine, okay? And if it's not finding its way back here fast enough, there's a good chance, unless you have a high credit card limit, that you're going to be tapping out your credit card. The question is, how do you keep this machine running when all this is going on, okay? Because if your credit limit taps out, you're screwed, right? You can't run ads. Facebook's going to want some money. So I've learned a few things. They don't totally solve the problem, okay? Especially if you're starting out, you just don't have the money in your bank account, but they help, okay? So the first thing is try to stay on top of this, all right? Call your credit card company, ask for a limit increase, be proactive about this. Don't wait till you hit your limit to do it, okay? The other thing is you can ask for what do they call it? It's like an emergency limit increase. By the way, guys, manage your finances, be responsible here. Don't put your family in jeopardy. You know, I'm sharing this information with you. I trust you're going to do the right thing with it here. Don't gamble with this, okay? Only spend your money if you're making a profit, all right? That's very important. Only spend your money if you're making profit. I never would have done this if I was not being profitable. I mean, you can screw up your life if you're not careful with this. So you want to keep this. You want to try to make sure your limit is large on the credit card so that you can fund your scaling when you do find a profitable product. If you have money in your bank account, you don't have to worry about this so much. I still recommend funding the ad spend through the credit card because you get these points here, right? And those points are more money in your pocket. So like even today, I have the money. I still fund my spend through the credit card because then I get points, okay? The other thing you can do though is set up PayPal, right? So inside of Facebook, you can have two payment methods. You have a primary and a backup. Okay, so what I do is I'll set my primary to a credit card and then I'll set my backup to PayPal. Now, inside of PayPal, you have a primary and a backup. And my primary is my PayPal balance. My backup is my bank, okay? So my whole goal in doing it this way is I'm just trying to keep your machine running, right? Because if you can just limp along for a day, it can make all the difference in whether or not you can continue to scale or not. So I'll set my primary, my credit card, and if for some reason my credit card maxes out, Facebook will go to PayPal to get paid. And usually, like if you're on a Shopify store and people are buying through PayPal, you're gonna have a balance sitting in there that hasn't moved anywhere yet, unless you're like really on top of things. And Facebook can start to draw from that balance. Once that balance is empty, it'll go to your bank account. Now, if all those wells are dry, then the whole machine grinds to a halt, which kind of sucks. You're trying to avoid that, but that can happen. The other thing I would say is you probably want to reach out proactively to PayPal once you start scaling and just let them know, hey, just let you know I may be spending a ton of money. It's me, blah, blah, blah. Let them know in advance because you definitely don't want them to shut this down because then you have more problems. You're gonna have to be dealing with PayPal shutdowns, right? I'll also tell you, I've never scaled to big numbers without having to be on the phone with my credit card company. It just happens. They see a ton of spend, it freaks them out. It's something you're gonna have to deal with no matter what. But these are some things I've kind of learned as best practice to help keep you out of hot water. The other thing is, at least the first time you scale, Facebook has limits. They put ceilings on your spend. Now, if I remember correctly, the first ceiling is at $50. The next ceiling is at 500. The next ceiling is at 5,000. And I think the next one is 15,000. So basically you're going to be able to spend to here and then they're going to shut you off. They're not going to let your ads set spend anymore. This is something you're just going to have to deal with when you're new. My best advice is be proactive about reaching out to them to try to increase this. I do know that they've put quite a bit of AI in place here. So that if you're like a regular spender with them, they'll automatically increase your spending limits, okay? I will tell you, after my last conversation with Facebook at this level, they raised my spending limit to I have no clue how much. I've never hit it since then. But this is a reality. Guys, you don't think about it. This is a whole other thing you've got to get figured out if you're going to scale to big numbers. And here's one of the interesting things about this is, look, you will figure this out, okay? Because the second you have a winning product and you're making money and one of your accounts gets shut down, trust me, you can get really creative to figure out how to continue to fund your scaling. I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. I will tell you this. Look, I try to keep things real with you guys. I try to be authentic about what this is actually like. I try to tell you the good and the bad. I also, one of the things that's really important to me is I'm a normal human being, and I want you guys to see that. The whole guru thing makes me feel icky. If I ever felt like I was coming off that way, I'd need to, I don't know, man. Just thinking about it makes me want to go take a shower, you know? So one of the things I try to spend my time on when I'm teaching is, like I said, I try to give you the good and bad. I try to tell you, like, when you're scaling to these levels, there's an emotional toll, there's a mental toll to it, you know? It takes time to recover from those things. There's a whole skill set that goes into life, work-life balance when you're doing this. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks for watching the training. I hope you can see how you can generate thousands of dollars in sales from your home with ShineOn. If you want to get started today, visit shineon.com or click that link in the description below. Until next time, happy selling.